Are you eating foods that quietly erode your gut barrier and nearly double your odds of Crohn's disease without you realizing it?
Welcome to Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. Stay informed with quick, easy-to-listen summaries of our latest articles, perfect for when you're on the go. No reading required. Subscribe for free at mercola.com for the latest health insights.
Hello, and welcome to Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. I'm Ethan Foster. Today we're examining how ultraprocessed foods, UPFs, raise your risk for Crohn's disease and what concrete steps you can take to lower that risk.
I'm Alara Sky. You're going to hear why additives like emulsifiers and artificial sweeteners disrupt your protective mucus layer, how that shifts your microbiome toward inflammation, and which everyday products, white bread, frozen meals, sauces, and cereals show the strongest links to Crohn's.
Crohn's affects your gastrointestinal tract from mouth to anus, most often the small intestine and colon, and it now touches as many as 3.1 million people in the U.S. You feel it as abdominal pain, diarrhea, fatigue, weight loss, and sometimes fever or blood in the stool. Left unchecked, you face obstruction, malnutrition, and an elevated colorectal cancer risk.
UPFs are industrial formulations built from refined sugars and starches, hydrogenated oils, isolated proteins, and a long list of additives for flavor, texture, and shelf life. Using the NOVA system, they're made mostly or entirely from substances derived from foods and additives, with little, if any, intact, minimally processed food. You don't cook with these ingredients at home, and your gut reacts accordingly.
A comprehensive review and nutrients compiled preclinical and clinical data to map how UPFs inflame your gut. It highlighted population studies where people eating the most UPFs had the highest Crohn's risk, and mechanistic trials where specific additives damaged the mucus layer, altered bacteria, and activated immune pathways within weeks.
One thread in those cohorts is hard to ignore. In the PURE study following 116,087 adults across 21 countries for nearly a decade, 5 or more daily UPF servings nearly doubled IBD risk compared with less than one serving. U.S. cohorts totaling more than 245,000 participants showed a dose-dependent rise in Crohn's with increasing UPF intake. The UK Biobank found similar patterns, including higher odds of IBD-related surgery among heavy UPF consumers.
Mechanisms explain the pattern. Emulsifiers like carboxymethyl cellulose and polysorbate thin your gut's mucus barrier and let bacteria encroach on the intestinal wall. In a controlled human study, carboxymethyl cellulose shifted the microbiome and reduced anti-inflammatory metabolites, changes that move you toward referrer permeability and immune overactivation.
Other additives push the imbalance further. Maltodextrin encourages adhesion and growth of harmful strains linked to Crohn's. Carrageenan can drive inflammatory signaling and worsen experimental colitis. Overall, high UPF diets reduce bacterial diversity, including beneficial species, and that loss of resilience sets you up for flare-ups and infections.
Your immune system joins the cascade. UPF components stimulate pathways like NF-kappa B and TLR4, while excessive salt, common in UPFS, promotes pro-inflammatory Th17 cells that aggravate colitis models. As diversity drops, short-chain fatty acids such as butyrate fall, undermining barrier integrity and immune regulation you rely on for stability.
Let's get specific on foods. In that large U.S. analysis of health professionals, over 5.4 million person-years, those in the highest UPF category had a 70% greater Crohn's risk based on recent diet and 40% greater risk using long-term averages. Categories with the strongest associations included ultra-processed breads and breakfast items, frozen or shelf-stable meals, and sauces, spreads, cheeses, and gravies rich in emulsifiers.
How much UPF is high? In the top quartile, about 46.4% of daily calories came from UPFS, more than double the 21% in the lowest quartile. Even after adjusting for BMI, smoking, activity, NSAID use, family history, and overall diet quality, the association with Crohn's persisted. Notably, the link with ulcerative colitis was inconsistent, likely reflecting disease differences in where and how gut damage occurs.
Therapies that work tend to minimize UPFs and additives. Exclusive enteral nutrition, using 100% calories from a formula for 6 to 8 weeks, removes additive exposure and reduces antigen load, often inducing remission in pediatric Crohn's. Adherence can be challenging, but it demonstrates the power of eliminating processed inputs to calm the intestine.
To translate that principle into everyday eating, the Crohn's disease exclusion diet focuses on whole foods while cutting UPFS, problematic fats, and additives, then supports beneficial bacteria with fiber and resistant starch. In randomized trials, CDED with partial enteral nutrition matched EEN for inducing remission in children and proved more sustainable over time.
Even a single additive matters. In a double-blind trial of people with ulcerative colitis in remission, those who avoided carrageenan had significantly fewer relapses than those unknowingly taking it. The message is consistent. Every reduction in UPF exposure moves you toward a more resilient gut.
If you're ready to act, start with a pantry sweep. Remove packaged snacks, sugary drinks, frozen entrees, deli meats, boxed dinners, and long ingredient list items, even when labeled organic or low-fat. Ask one question. Would you use these ingredients in your own kitchen? If not, clear them out so your environment supports better decisions.
Next, make whole foods the center of every meal. Build around simple ingredients like pasture-raised eggs, grass-fed meats, wild-caught fish, ripe fruit, and well-cooked vegetables. If you tolerate them, include root vegetables and white rice. Aim for at least 250 grams of healthy carbohydrates per day from white rice and whole fruit so your cells have steady energy without aggravating digestion.
Eliminate seed oils common in UPFS, soybean, corn, sunflower, safflower, and keep linoleic acid under 2 grams per day from all sources. Swap in ghee, grass-fed butter, or coconut oil. If it helps with precision, use the Mercola Health Coach app's Seed Oil Sleuth to track your LA down to 1/10 of a gram.
Rebuild microbial balance with targeted foods. Support Akkermansia mucinifera, a keystone species for mucus integrity, by eating polyphenol-rich fruits like berries and inulin-rich choices, such as garlic, asparagus, bananas, and leeks. If you're considering supplements for Akkermansia, wait at least 6 months after removing vegetable oils so your mitochondria and gut environment are ready to support colonization.
Protect your gains by limiting environmental hits. Choose organic when possible to reduce pesticide exposure that disrupts beneficial bacteria, and use antibiotics only when truly necessary. Each choice preserves diversity, stabilizes the mucus layer, and reduces the immune overdrive tied to Crohn's activity.
Here's your challenge. Today, list every ultra-processed item in your kitchen and remove 3 that you reach for most often. This week, replace them with whole food options you'll actually eat. Set a daily target of 250 grams of carbohydrates from white rice and whole fruit if you tolerate them, and swap all cooking fats to ghee, grass-fed butter, or coconut oil, while keeping linoleic acid under 2 grams. Track how your energy, digestion, and flare frequency respond over the next 4 weeks.
Thank you for watching Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe now and click the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.